Have you ever noticed something strange? The loudest person in the room is almost never the one everyone fears. The one shouting, explaining, defending himself is usually the one losing. But the person who says almost nothing is somehow the one nobody can stop thinking about. That isn't confidence. It isn't luck. And according to Niccolò Machiavelli, it certainly isn't an accident, because the greatest mistake ordinary people make is believing that power comes from speaking, when in reality, power comes from controlling what other people never get to hear. Most people think silence means weakness. They imagine someone who stays quiet is afraid, too shy, too emotional, or simply has nothing intelligent to say. But history tells a completely different story. Kings understood it, generals understood it, negotiators understood it, and Machiavelli understood it better than almost anyone. Machiavelli understood something that most people never will. The more you feel the need to explain yourself, the less power you actually have. Powerful people don't spend their time convincing everyone they're powerful. They don't rush to defend every accusation. They don't reveal every intention. They don't speak just to fill the silence. Because every unnecessary word gives people another piece of you, another clue, another weakness, another way to predict your next move. And the moment people can predict you, controlling you becomes much easier. The average person cannot survive silence. Watch people during an argument. The moment someone ignores them, something fascinating happens. Their voice gets louder, then faster, then emotional, then desperate. Eventually, they begin revealing things they never intended to reveal. Why? Because silence creates something the human brain hates: uncertainty. Your brain would rather hear bad news than no news at all. Think about that. If someone insults you, you know where you stand. If someone yells at you, you know they're angry. If someone argues with you, you know what they want. But when someone simply looks at you and says nothing, your mind begins creating answers on its own. Did I go too far? Are they planning something? Do they not care anymore? Did I lose? Notice something. You didn't answer those questions. They did. Inside their own head. This is where silence becomes dangerous, because the imagination is always more terrifying than reality. The people who leave the deepest impression rarely reveal everything. They don't explain every decision. They don't react to every insult. They don't chase people for understanding. Their calmness forces everyone else to wonder, what are they really thinking? And imagination always paints a darker picture than facts. Machiavelli would have called this one of the greatest advantages a person can possess. Because fear becomes stronger when people cannot predict you. The moment people understand you completely, they stop respecting you. They know exactly how to manipulate you, exactly what makes you angry, exactly what hurts your ego, exactly which button to press. And once they know the button, they own the machine. This is why emotional people become easy to control. Every reaction teaches the world something. Get angry. They learn your weakness. Defend yourself. They learn your insecurity. Explain yourself endlessly. They learn exactly how to keep you talking. But silence teaches them nothing. Imagine playing chess against someone who never reacts. You capture their queen. Nothing. You threaten checkmate. Nothing. You make an unexpected move. Still nothing. After a while, you stop focusing on the board. You start focusing on them. What are they thinking? Did they see something I didn't? Suddenly, you're no longer playing chess. You're fighting your own imagination. That's exactly what strategic silence does. It forces people to battle themselves. Most people lose that battle. Here's something even darker. People rarely fear silence itself. They fear losing control over the story. Every conversation is a battle over reality. Who is right? Who is stronger? Who gets the last word? Most people desperately chase the last word because they believe the final sentence decides the winner. Machiavelli understood something far more dangerous. Sometimes, the person who refuses to say the last word wins the entire war. Because while everyone else is arguing, he's observing. While everyone else is defending themselves, he's collecting information. While everyone else is trying to prove they're right, he's discovering everyone else's weaknesses. Think about how many mistakes you've made simply because you couldn't stay silent for another 30 seconds. One extra message. One emotional reply. One unnecessary explanation. One desperate attempt to be understood. Entire relationships collapse because someone couldn't tolerate silence. Careers end because someone answered too quickly. Negotiations fail because someone spoke first. Reputations disappear because someone felt the unbearable need to explain. And that's exactly what most people never realize. Silence isn't the absence of action. Silence is action. It is psychological pressure without lifting a finger. It is influence without raising your voice. It is control without making threats. The frightening part is that it works because other people do the work for you. They imagine, they assume, they overthink, they confess, they chase, they expose themselves, while you simply remain still. And this brings us to the first lesson Machiavelli wanted every ambitious person to understand. The most powerful people are not the ones who control every conversation. They are the ones who control what conversations never happen. Because once you truly understand silence, you realize something that changes every interaction you'll ever have. Your greatest weapon was never your words. It was your ability to live without needing them. Most people believe anger is power. It feels powerful, your heart races, your voice gets louder, your words become sharper. For a moment, it feels like you're taking control. But you're not. You're surrendering it. The strange thing about anger is that it never stays inside you. The second you react, everyone watching learns something about you, not about the other person, about you. They discover what offends you, what scares you, what hurts your pride, what makes you lose control. And once someone knows that, they don't need to fight you anymore. They only need to press the right button. Think about it. If someone can predict your reaction, can they really say you're in control? Or are they? Machiavelli understood a truth that most people spend their entire lives ignoring. The person who controls your emotions controls your decisions, because emotion has a strange effect on the mind. The stronger the emotion, the weaker the judgment. That's why people say things they regret. That's why they send messages they wish they could delete. That's why they make decisions that destroy relationships, careers, and sometimes entire lives. Not because they were weak, but because someone else chose the timing, and they reacted exactly as expected. That is the hidden danger of anger. It makes you predictable, and predictable people are easy to manipulate. Imagine two men standing across from each other. One is shouting, pointing fingers, trying to prove he's right. The other says almost nothing. He watches, he listens, he waits. Now ask yourself, which one is gathering information? Which one is giving information away? The loud man believes he's winning because he's speaking more. But every sentence is another confession. Every insult reveals what wounded his ego. Every explanation exposes another insecurity. Every emotional reaction becomes a map, and the quiet man is studying that map. This is something most people never notice. The loudest person in an argument is usually answering questions nobody asked, trying to justify themselves, trying to be understood, trying to repair an image that only exists inside their own head. Meanwhile, the silent person is learning everything, not because silence is magical, because observation becomes impossible when you're busy talking. Machiavelli believed that successful people don't rush to reveal themselves. They let other people reveal themselves first. Because people become incredibly honest when they're emotional. They expose their fears, their ambitions, their frustrations, their weaknesses. Without realizing it, have you ever argued with someone and 10 minutes later you wished you had said less? Almost everyone has. Very few wish they had stayed silent longer, because silence rarely creates regret. Emotion does. Here's something even more dangerous. Anger doesn't only reveal your weaknesses, it also gives your enemy confidence. The moment they see you losing control, they know they've reached you. They know their words worked. They know they matter. And whether they admit it or not, that's exactly what they wanted. Your reaction becomes their reward. That's why some people keep provoking you, not because they hate you, because they enjoy watching you react. Every angry response tells them, keep going, you're getting under my skin. And they will, again and again and again, until they no longer need to attack your reputation. You'll destroy it yourself by becoming emotional. This is why truly powerful people are difficult to provoke. Not because they don't feel anger, they do. They're human. The difference is, they understand something everyone else forgets. Feeling an emotion and displaying an emotion are two completely different things. One happens inside you, The other gives your opponent information, and information is always valuable, especially in conflict. Imagine walking into a poker game where every time you receive a good hand, your face smiles. Every time you receive a bad hand, your shoulders drop. You wouldn't last 5 minutes, not because your cards are bad, because everyone can read you. Life works the same way. Every emotional outburst shows people your cards. Your silence keeps them guessing. And people make terrible decisions when they're forced to guess. This is why silence creates pressure, not because it says something, because it refuses to. It leaves an empty space, and human beings rush to fill empty spaces with assumptions, with fear, with stories, with overthinking. That's when the balance of power begins to change, without raising your voice, without making threats, without saying a single word. Machiavelli knew that influence doesn't always belong to the person who speaks the most. More often, it belongs to the person who reveals the least. Because once people know everything about you, they know exactly how to fight you. But when they can't read you, they begin fighting themselves. And that is a battle they almost never win. So if anger gives people access to your mind, why does silence make them question their own? Because the human brain has a dangerous obsession. It cannot tolerate uncertainty. And that's exactly what we'll uncover next. There is something about the human mind that almost nobody notices. It does not fear pain as much as it fears uncertainty. Pain has an answer. Uncertainty doesn't. If someone tells you, "I don't like you," it hurts, but at least you know where you stand. If someone says, "I'm leaving," it's painful, but your mind can finally stop searching for answers. Now compare that to someone who suddenly becomes quiet. No explanation, no anger, no goodbye, no reaction, just silence. Something strange happens. Your mind refuses to accept the empty space. It immediately starts trying to solve a mystery that may not even exist. Did I do something wrong? Are they upset? Are they testing me? Did they lose respect for me? Have they found someone better? What's fascinating is that none of those thoughts came from reality. They came from you. This is why silence is psychologically powerful. Not because it tells people something, because it forces them to become the storyteller. And the human brain is a terrible storyteller. It rarely writes happy endings. It fills missing information with fear, with doubt, with worst-case scenarios. Machiavelli understood something that goes far beyond politics. People are much easier to influence when they're searching for certainty. The person who desperately needs answers is rarely the one with power. Think about negotiations. The first person who becomes desperate for clarity usually starts making concessions. They talk more, reveal more, offer more, simply to escape the discomfort of not knowing. That's not logic. That's psychology. The need for certainty can become stronger than the desire to win, and that's exactly why silence creates pressure. Not because silence is loud, because it forces the other person to carry the conversation inside their own head. Have you ever sent a message and watched that little word appear? Seen. No reply. 5 minutes pass, then 10, then an hour. Suddenly, you stop focusing on your day. Your attention keeps returning to your phone. You read your own message again. Maybe it sounded rude. Maybe it sounded desperate. Maybe they misunderstood. Maybe they're angry. Maybe they're ignoring me. Notice what just happened. Nothing changed. The only thing that changed was your imagination. Silence gave your mind an empty canvas, and your imagination painted the rest. Now imagine someone who understands this. Someone who never rushes to explain, never rushes to defend, never rushes to react. People around them begin doing all the work. They wonder, they analyze, they overthink, they replay conversations, they search for hidden meanings, all while that person hasn't said a single word. That's influence. Not because they manipulated anyone, but because they understood how the human mind behaves when certainty disappears. Here's where most people make a costly mistake. They mistake discomfort for danger. The moment silence appears, they rush to remove it. They send another message, then another. They explain themselves again, then apologize for something that didn't even need an apology. Not because they were wrong, because the silence made them uncomfortable, and discomfort makes people betray themselves. Machiavelli believed that patience is a weapon, not because waiting magically solves problems, because impatient people expose themselves. Watch what happens when someone can't stand silence. They keep talking, they repeat themselves, they change their story, they reveal emotions they were trying to hide. Eventually, they tell you everything you needed to know, all because they couldn't tolerate a few moments of uncertainty. This is why interrogators often stay silent after asking a question. Not because they have nothing to say, because silence makes people uncomfortable. And uncomfortable people keep speaking. Many even begin correcting details that nobody questioned, adding explanations nobody requested, confessing things nobody accused them of. Silence didn't force them, their own mind did. Now think about everyday life. How many times have you destroyed your own position? Simply because you couldn't leave silence alone. You sent the second text. You made the unnecessary phone call. You explained your intentions one more time. You tried to fix an image that probably didn't need fixing. Every extra word came from the same place. The fear of uncertainty. But powerful people understand something different. Not every silence needs to be broken. Not every accusation deserves an answer. Not every misunderstanding deserves a defense. Sometimes, the strongest position is allowing uncertainty to exist, because the person who needs certainty the most is usually the person with the least control. Machiavelli knew that people reveal their priorities by what they cannot stop chasing. Some chase approval, some chase attention, some chase validation, and many chase answers. But the moment people realize they cannot force answers out of you, the balance begins to shift. Because now, they're the ones waiting. They're the ones wondering. They're the ones trying to understand you. And whenever someone spends more time trying to understand you than you spend trying to convince them, you've quietly changed the balance of power. This doesn't mean silence should become a game, or a punishment, or a way to manipulate everyone around you. That's not wisdom. That's insecurity wearing a mask. Strategic silence has only one purpose: to prevent your emotions from becoming someone else's advantage. Because once your emotions become predictable, so do your actions. And predictable people are the easiest people in the world to influence. So here's the real question. If silence makes people question themselves, why do they instinctively respect those who reveal the least? Why does mystery create authority even before a single achievement? That's exactly what Machiavelli understood, and that's where we're going next. There is a reason. Some people walk into a room and instantly command attention. They don't speak the loudest. They don't try to impress anyone. They don't demand respect. Yet somehow, people give it to them anyway. Why? Because the human mind has a strange relationship with mystery. We naturally trust what we understand, but we instinctively respect what we cannot fully read. Machiavelli understood that the easiest person to influence is the person whose thoughts are always visible. The one who says exactly what he feels, explains every decision, reveals every emotion, announces every plan before it happens. At first, this looks like honesty, but over time, it becomes predictability, and predictability is the enemy of power. Think about someone you've known for years. You already know how they'll react. You know what makes them angry. You know what makes them laugh. You know what they'll say before they even open their mouth. Eventually, they stop surprising you. And once someone becomes completely predictable, they become easy to manage. Now imagine someone different, someone calm, someone who listens more than they speak, someone who never rushes to explain themselves. You can't quite figure them out. One day they're warm, another day they're distant, one moment they're watching, the next, they've already made a decision without announcing it. Suddenly, your attention shifts. Not because they're trying to be mysterious, because your brain wants to solve them. This is one of the oldest instincts in human psychology. The unknown demands attention, not because it's always dangerous, but because your mind believes anything unpredictable could be important. That's why people notice the quiet person. Not because silence is magical, because uncertainty captures attention. Machiavelli knew that rulers who exposed every intention lost one of their greatest advantages. If everyone knows your next move, they begin preparing for it. If everyone understands your strategy, they begin creating a strategy against it. Power weakens the moment it becomes completely visible. That's true in politics. It's true in business. and it's true in everyday life. Think about someone who constantly announces their goals. I'm going to start a business. I'm going to get in shape. I'm working on something huge. They keep talking, keep explaining, keep updating everyone. Then months later, nothing happens. Now compare them to the person who says almost nothing. Months pass. Then one day, they've already built the business, already changed their life, already achieved the goal. No announcements, no speeches, just results. Who seems more powerful? The one who talked about becoming successful, or the one who simply became successful? Machiavelli understood something most people overlook. Talking creates the illusion of progress. Silence protects real progress, because every time you announce your plans, you invite opinions, doubt, envy, criticism, unnecessary attention, and sometimes the opinions of others become louder than your own purpose. Silence protects momentum, not because people are always against you, but because not everyone deserves access to what you're building. Here's another truth that makes people uncomfortable. The more people know about your ambitions, the easier it becomes for them to influence them. They know what you desperately want. They know what you're afraid of losing. They know exactly which dream to encourage or destroy. Information creates leverage, and leverage creates control. That's why truly powerful people choose carefully what becomes public and what remains private. Not because they're hiding, because they're protecting their focus, protecting their decisions, protecting their freedom from other people's expectations. Most people mistake privacy for secrecy. They're not the same thing. Secrecy comes from fear. Privacy comes from discipline. Fear says, I hope nobody finds out. Discipline says, nobody needs to know yet. There's a massive difference. Machiavelli admired people who understood timing, not just what to do, but when to reveal it. Because even the truth loses its power when it's revealed too early. Imagine watching a magician perform. Before every trick, he explains exactly how it's done, shows you every hidden compartment, every movement, every secret. Would the trick still amaze you? Of course not. The magic disappears the moment everything becomes visible. Life works the same way. The more you expose every thought, every feeling, every plan, the less impact you have. Not because people stop liking you, because there's nothing left to discover, nothing left to anticipate, nothing left to respect. This doesn't mean becoming cold or pretending to be mysterious. People who fake mystery usually end up looking insecure. Real mystery isn't created by acting distant. It's created by being comfortable, without constant explanation, without constant validation, without constantly reminding the world who you are. Because someone who truly knows their value doesn't feel pressured to advertise it every day. And that's where most people lose. They're terrified of being misunderstood, so they explain everything, every decision, every absence, every choice, every emotion, without realizing that every explanation gives away another piece of themselves. Machiavelli would ask a simple question. Why volunteer information that nobody has earned? Why reveal your strategy before the game has even begun? Because once people can read you completely, they stop observing you, they start using you. The person who reveals everything becomes easy to predict. The person who reveals only what is necessary remains impossible to control. And in every struggle for influence, the hardest person to defeat is the one you can never fully understand. Silence and mystery alone are not enough, because there is one mistake that makes quiet people look weak instead of powerful. The world rarely tells you the difference between strategic silence and fearful silence. And if you confuse the two, your silence won't earn respect. It will invite exploitation. This is where most people misunderstand Machiavelli. They hear the word silence and assume it means saying nothing. Avoiding conflict, keeping your head down, being passive. But that's not power, that's fear. And Machiavelli had very little respect for fear disguised as virtue. Because not all silence is the same. One type of silence comes from confidence. The other comes from helplessness. From the outside, they can look almost identical, but psychologically, they couldn't be more different. Imagine two men standing in front of someone who insults them. The first stays quiet because he's terrified of making things worse. He wants the argument to end. He hopes the other person will stop. His silence says, "Please don't hurt me." The second man also says nothing, but for an entirely different reason. He's calm, he's observing, he's measuring the situation, he's deciding whether this person is even worth his time. His silence says, "You haven't earned my response." Same action, completely different message. People can feel that difference, even if they can't explain it. Because confidence has a presence. Fear has one too. You can hear it, even in silence. This is why some quiet people are respected while others are ignored. Not because they speak differently, because they think differently. Weak silence is always waiting for permission. Strategic silence never asks for it. Machiavelli believed that power begins the moment you stop reacting automatically. Think about how most people live. Someone criticizes them, they immediately defend themselves. Someone insults them, they immediately attack back. Someone doubts them, they immediately start proving their worth. Notice the pattern. Their behavior isn't chosen. It's triggered. They're not making decisions. They're being programmed. One sentence from another person changes their entire emotional state. One opinion controls their mood for the rest of the day. One insult steals hours of their peace. Ask yourself something uncomfortable. If another person's words can completely control your behavior, who's really in charge, you or them? This is why strategic silence is so powerful. It creates a gap between stimulus and response. Inside that gap, you regain control. Instead of reacting, you choose. Instead of exploding, you evaluate. Instead of defending your ego, you protect your position. That small pause changes everything. Because once you stop reacting emotionally, you begin seeing things other people miss. You notice tone instead of words, motives instead of accusations, patterns instead of isolated events. Suddenly, you're no longer trapped inside the conflict. You're standing above it, watching it unfold. Machiavelli admired people who could separate emotion from strategy, not because they lacked feelings, but because they refused to let feelings make decisions. This is something many people confuse. Being calm doesn't mean you feel nothing. It means your emotions work for you, not against you. There are moments when speaking is necessary. There are moments when confrontation is necessary. There are moments when walking away is a mistake. Strategic silence doesn't mean avoiding action. It means refusing to waste action. Every word has a cost. Every reaction has a consequence. Powerful people understand this. That's why they don't spend energy trying to win every argument. They save it for the battles that actually matter. Think about a lion. Have you ever seen a lion chase every animal that makes noise? Of course not. Not because it can't, because it doesn't need to. It understands something instinctively. Energy is limited. Attention is valuable. Not everything deserves either. People who lack confidence fight every battle. People with confidence choose their battles carefully. That choice alone changes how the world sees them. Here's another mistake people make. They think silence is about making other people uncomfortable. No, that's a side effect. The real purpose of strategic silence is protecting your own clarity. Every unnecessary argument clouds your judgment. Every emotional debate steals your focus. Every attempt to convince people who have already decided not to understand you drains your strength. Machiavelli understood that influence is not measured by how many people you defeat. It's measured by how much control you keep over yourself. Because the hardest person to conquer is the one who refuses to surrender his peace. There's a reason emotionally disciplined people appear intimidating. It's not because they're aggressive, it's because they're difficult to move. And what cannot be easily moved cannot be easily manipulated. Think about the people you've admired most in your life. Were they constantly explaining themselves, constantly defending every rumor, constantly arguing with everyone who disagreed? Probably not. They carried themselves with quiet certainty. Not arrogance, not indifference, certainty. They understood that respect is rarely demanded, it's demonstrated. Every calm decision, every measured response, every unnecessary argument they refused to enter sent the same message. I decide where my attention goes, and that's real power. Because attention is one of the most valuable things you own. The world is constantly trying to steal it. Every insult, every notification, every opinion, every provocation, they're all competing for the same thing, your focus. The moment you react automatically, you've handed it over. Strategic silence is your way of saying, no, You don't get access to my mind that easily. That doesn't make you cold. It makes you disciplined. And discipline has always been more frightening than emotion. Because emotional people are predictable. Disciplined people are not. Machiavelli understood this long before modern psychology gave it a name. The person who governs himself is far more difficult to govern by others. That's why the strongest silence is never forced. It's chosen. Chosen because you know your value doesn't decrease, simply because someone questioned it. Chosen because you understand that not every challenge deserves your attention. Chosen because you've learned that your peace is more valuable than your pride. And once you reach that point, something remarkable happens. People stop seeing your silence as weakness. They begin seeing it as a warning. Because anyone can shout, anyone can react, anyone can lose control. But the person who remains calm, while everyone else is ruled by emotion, is the person everyone secretly realizes they cannot control.